911 quarterly PSAP meeting. I'll now do a roll call to establish a forum. Please ensure you enter the correct information so you can use your mic. I'm going to start by doing a roll call. Apache Junction PD. 540-416. Apache Junction, are you there? Okay.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, sorry, this is Craig with AJ.
Oh, there you are. Okay, what's up, Craig? Welcome. All right, Arizona Department of Public Safety.
Lynn Koloboski, I'm here.
Morning, Lynn.
Anna Obama here.
Welcome, welcome. Arizona State University Police.
Good morning, everyone. Trish is here.
Hey, good morning, Trish. I'm here from Avondale, Mike Foley, obviously. Buckeye Police Department. Anyone from Buckeye? Jim, are you there? All right. Chandler Police Department.
Good morning. This is Stephanie. I'm here.
Good morning, Stephanie. Fort McDowell Police Department. Anyone from Fort McDowell? All right, Gilbert Police Department. Anyone from Gilbert? All right, Glendale Police Department.
Loretta's here from Glendale.
Hey, good morning, Loretta. Goodyear Police Department.
Shauna's here from Goodyear.
Hey, good morning, Shauna. Luke Air Force Base Fire Department.
David's here.
Welcome, David. MCSO.
Jim Stillwell present. Good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Mesa Fire Department.
Good morning. Doreen's here.
Good morning, Doreen. Mesa Police Department.
Good morning. Christine's here.
Good morning. Paradise Valley Police Department.
Good morning. It's Heather from PV.
Welcome, Heather. Peoria Police Department.
Good morning. This is Brittany.
Hey, Brittany. Good morning. Phoenix Fire Department.
Good morning, Mike. It's Nicole Diedrich.
Hey, good morning, Nicole. Phoenix Police Department.
Hey, good morning. Dan McNamee here.
Morning, Dan. AMR.
Ian Walter from AMR is here.
Good morning, Ian. Salt River PD.
Good morning. Dave Martin's here.
All right, good morning, Dave. Scottsdale PD.
Good morning. Karen Sutherland's here.
Good morning, Karen. Surprise PD. Anyone from Surprise Police Department? Okay. Tempe Police Department. Patrick, are you on the line? Okay. Tolleson Police Department. Anyone from Tolleson on the phone? All right, and Wickenburg Police Department. Anyone from Wickenburg? Okay, I believe we have the amount of members needed. The meeting of the MAG Public Safety Answering Point Committee is called to order. Call to the audience. An opportunity will be provided to members of the public to address the PSAP on items that are not on the agenda, that are within the jurisdiction of MAG, or on items on the agenda for discussion, but not for action. Citizens will be requested not to exceed a 3-minute time period for their comments. A total of 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience agenda item, unless the PSAP requests an exception to this limit. Please note that those wishing to comment on agenda items posted for action will be provided the opportunity at the time the item is heard. Ms. Graber, do we have any requests to speak?
Mr. Foley, we do not have any requests.
Okay, no requests to speak. Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the May 14th, 2020 meeting minutes. can I have, and this is for approval again of the May 14th meeting minutes, could I have a motion for approval of those minutes?
This is Karen Sutherland. So I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Karen Sutherland, with the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Loretta Hadlock will second it.
Thank you, Loretta. Is there a discussion on this motion? Not hearing anything. We'll go ahead and move on to the administrator report. Liz Graber, the 901 administrator, will provide a update on this report.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of things that we need to focus on. The first one, SENS. We have 88 activations year to date. It's still running quite high. This time we hit 88 last year on October 8th, so we're ahead of the curve. Two important things about SENS, and I'm not going to say which PSAP, but I want you to go back and emphasize to your people not to do tests. I'm sorry, they can do as many tests as they want, but they need to reflect in the comments at their test. When I see, a child that's been kidnapped or a robbery and there's only one contact, I'm thinking, did the person not know that they were how to do it and they missed a step on it, or is this a test? So it's really important that they clarify that it's a test and not put in, practice stuff. Does that make sense, everybody? Just nod. Okay. And then the other thing is Cox is doing some network changes internally. That's who provides us with our calling platform. And that's scheduled for next Wednesday at 10 a.m. If it should not impact, but Dave Eaton and myself have the ability to do a online launch that using the internet. So if we need one to do, when you contact me, and then we'll launch it that way. So we'll always have that ability, but I'm looking at maybe a 5-minute window, maybe 10. Dave Dancevicus, if you're on the line, is it that short, or do we need to expect a little longer? All right, well, we'll say that it's 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Next, any questions on SENS at all?
Oh.
Okay. Text to 911. So year to date, we are at 3,927 texts to 911. In the second quarter, we had 1,895 texts, and we're doing a monthly average of 561. I can tell you, in looking at the spreadsheet that I track, you can see a great big uptick, like we broke records in the months of May and June. I suspect that had to do with the protestings along with COVID, but that's something that you could see a big difference on our texts. It's starting to go back down, but there was a big spike in May and June. And then you have all received an email for Comtech on an upgrade, and I apologize about the late notice. It's something that's not in our control. If you remember back at the beginning of the year, they attempted to do this, and then the wheels fell off, and then COVID came, and then it was put on ice. So now it's been reinstated. So they sent us an email with 3 class opportunities for the PSAPs, and I believe it's PSAPs, all of their customers. So that's why I'm asking only one of your representatives from your PSAP sign in. The instructions are in your email on them sending a email to Megan Stapleton with Comtech to schedule one of the 3 choices. It'll also be recorded, and a PowerPoint is available as well. So we're going to have to do train the trainer. if they have additional classes or we have additional slots, if there's not a capacity limit, then I will let you know if you want to have others. But this is a train the trainer situation. So you will be responsible for training your folks on any updates to the format that they might implement, which I don't think it will be a complete overhaul, but it just might add features that we need to be aware of. It also is going to change the URL, and so that's where our team will be involved. So when we get I believe it's on the 26th of August, when they do the cut and the URLs are switched, we will then go PSAP by PSAP to update the information. We will contact you when your PSAP's up to bat, and at the time you will log everybody off the text and then everybody back on. Now, not everybody's logged in at the same time. You only have a handful at each PSAP who are doing text. So they'll just have to log in and log out and then log back in. And then as your shift change happen or other people log in, it will automatically switch to it. But one of the challenges is that MR911 is going to need to, because of what we have to do and the way we share the monitor, it could be that we have to touch every PC in your PSAP, but we can do that remotely. But we at least want to get your key people that are on text 911 switched over. The nice thing is the old URL will still be connected. So if for some reason you have somebody on the old system, it's still going to work. They've given us a window where both of them will be active. Your PSAP, your users won't know it, but they'll be able to tell by the format of the screen if they're on the new or the old. Any questions on the texting and contact? Okay. Then I'll move on to our legislative activity. We've been monitoring the Corporation Commission's investigation on 911 outages. CenturyLink submitted a action plan. They made some minor adjustments, and the Corporation Commission accepted it. So CenturyLink is doing their due diligence on meeting the items on that action plan. One of the things that they have is, I'm trying to think of the words, maybe Michelle, you can tell me, was it like a working group or I forget the term, not a working group, but a committee of some sorts of PSAP and industry representatives to help them shore up a few things so that they can get the input on different aspects of 911. I'm not sure who that is going to be on that committee. So it's just the FYI in case any of you get a call. I suspect it will probably be, if the PSAP community, I doubt they'll take all the representatives across Arizona. So maybe just be a couple 911 people on that study group or whatever it is. And that is my report for the admin. Does anybody have any questions on anything I covered at all? I feel like my microphone's not on because I don't hear anyone talking.
We hear you, Liz.
Oh, thank goodness. This is such a quiet way to have a PSAP meeting. Anyway, okay, so that's it. If no one has any questions, Mr. Folia, I'll turn it back to you. Hey, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. If anyone has any additional questions or any questions, that is, for Liz, please see her after, or contact her after the meeting, I should say. All right, number 5 is the budget working group report. I don't believe, Patrick, have you joined us?
He has not. Give me 10 seconds to text him the information. He's sending it to me so talk amongst yourselves for a minute and let me get this to him, and then I can start it until he joins.
All right, we'll have a brief intermission. Do a quick mic check. Damala, can you hear me now? Okay.
Did we have any PSAPs that missed the roll call that joined us?
Yes, Tollison joined us, as well as Damala. She's on the line. Both are having mic issues, not able to.
Can you hear me?
Oh, is that Adriana?
It's Adriana.
Okay, welcome. Oh, Kim is here as well. Kim Weber and Gilbert. Did anyone join from Buckeye or Fort McDowell? Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm a slow texter. So comes with age. All right, so he has the information. We'll wait for him to come on, but I can go ahead and start. So if you can go, Jeremy, if you can take it to the first screenshot. And this is our 6th year. And I really like that we've gone to 6 years. Thank you for letting us do that. I think it makes a lot more sense. Robin, our lovely admin assistant, she used abbreviations. So if you're confused, there's a little legend at the top. So NBIN means that you submitted a budget, but you didn't request anything during that year. 911WS is the workstations you've asked for. LR, login recorder. PSAP remodel is an R, and PSAP move is an M. PSAP R and PSAP M. Upgrade, we just spelled it out because and I even bolded it so you could see when we're all being upgraded. So if you look at that screen, it shows you when everybody's upgrades are scheduled, and I think that's a good footprint. Doesn't mean we can't adjust it as things happen, but as you're planning your PSAP center and you're talking to your command staff, you'll always know which ones to get in.
Liz, when you say upgrade, it says when it's going to happen. I'm not seeing Glenda. Is that going to be an upgrade for me, or what is it going to be on this upcoming year?
Well, we're in fiscal year 2021, and this is for 2022 and on. So if you look at the very end of your line, you see an upgrade in 2027, and I expect you to be there for it.
No, I'm talking about the other that we just recently did. What is that? That's just new equipment or what?
For what? For which thing? Are you looking at
the switch over to Vesta?
Are you looking at the 6 year, or are you looking at the budget for 2022?
I'm looking 2022. I see the 2027, but I don't see when that's happening on the other.
It's not reflected on here, Loretta. So fiscal year 2022, you're being upgraded in 2021.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I
was
thinking 2022. All right, never mind.
Yeah. So 2021 is yours. So the ones that we're doing this year are not going to be reflected on. All the ones we're doing this year, yours are showing on the fiscal year 2027. So this is a good way to look and see. Patrick's having, Michelle Potts, can you text Patrick so I can keep talking? I'm not good. I've lost my ability to multitask as a dispatcher. Can you send him all the call-in information? Apparently what I sent him didn't work.
Yes.
Can I assign you that? Thank you. Okay. So, so for fiscal year 2022, if you look at that first column, and also if there's nothing written in there, then if it's blank, that means that budget wasn't submitted, and we I say this every year, and I'm going to say it one more time. If you have to turn in a budget, you need to turn in a budget, even if you're not requesting anything. This does go up the chain to the city managers and the mayors, and they want to ensure that their PSAP is participating in the 911 budget process. So for fiscal year 2022, we have up to bat Fort McDowell, AMR, Scottsdale, and Tempe. And then if you'll notice that we've joined AMR. AMR is getting off their phone system and is going to be joining in on our system. And that will be much better for them. And then I wanted to point out, especially to Dan with Phoenix and with and Dave with Luke Air Force Base. You'll notice that you're fiscal year 2023. So I can't believe it's already time. But we're going to do it. So.
Okay. Good.
Any questions on the 6-year forecast? I think this will be a good tool for you. Like I said, then you'll always know when your upgrades due. So if they ask, somebody from your agency asks you, you'll be able to access it and say, this is when we're slated. Of course, nothing's written in stone. Like I said, it has to move. So can we move on to the next screen, Jeremy? Thank you. Okay, so here is our budget. And when Patrick joins us, he can give you more detail. The working group met. Damala, do you want to speak to her, or do you want me to just keep going?
Her mic isn't working, Liz, so.
Oh, that's right. Her mic. I think that was us part of the game, that these mics are suddenly broken or we can't get in.
It's all on you now.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So we changed this up a little bit on starting last year as we gone to a grant process. We tried to mirror what the expenditure breakout is reflected in how the grant categorizes it. So, for example, they have the categories that we report on is wireline, wireless, NG 911, 911 administration, and then PSAP request. And if you look on that first column on the left, that's how those are broken out, is in that same thing on how we do it. So, for instance, wireline, we have maintenance, and that's where for the maintenance personnel, it's maintenance equipment, not upgrades, but maintenance equipment. If you have a monitor that goes bad or something that we come out and replace it, that's where that pot of money, all of our support contracts that we pay, and we do now pay them instead of a 5-year increments, we are required to pay them annually. So it's adjusted a little bit on how that looks. 911 monthly service, that's our biggest bill. That is for the wireline companies that we pay the monthly bill. And then customer premise equipment, that's our upgrades. So the upgrades, if you look at the very bottom and where it says 911 CPE projects highlighted in pink, those are our upgrades that we have due, and you'll notice that that matches. All right, then we have wireless. Wireless, the same format. 911 has to do with personnel, what we pay for wireless 911 monthly service. And then we have a little bit different mapping in GIS that we have in there as well. And G911, all the things associated with that. We have to update some security and VMware. And then admin is in the statute, it gives a percentage to all the PSAPs. Not all the PSAPs, to all the 911 systems, and we use ours to cover personnel cost. And then PSAP requests are the ones that you've submitted to us to log in. And if you'll notice on the very bottom right, we have them listed out. Gilbert PD asked for 3 positions. Gilbert PD wants logging recorder reimbursement. Glendale, logging recorder reimbursement. Goodyear, logging recorder reimbursement. Mesa, a logging recorder reimbursement. And then Mesa wants 6 positions and logging recorder for Paradise Valley. Shauna, Henrie, are you on the phone?
I am.
So if you think about it, you submitted for 2 logging recorders, one for Paradise Valley and one for Goodyear.
I'm an overachiever.
I know, I guess so. And did we take time to introduce that we have new PSAP managers? I apologize for that. Ms. Chair Folia, can I interject those real quick on who our new PSAP managers are?
Absolutely.
We have our good friend Shauna Henrie is moved from Paradise Valley over to Goodyear. And she left one project that Paradise Valley just got cut, and guess what? Goodyear's getting upgraded this year, so good job, Shauna. Then we have Nicole Dietrich. Nicole came from Phoenix PD and is now over at is the new manager at Phoenix Fire. Welcome, Nicole.
Thanks,
And then we have Heather with Paradise Valley. She was just named the new PSAP manager, so welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
And so those are our requests. Patrick, did you get on the line yet? No. Okay.
He's having a problem with Chrome. He's going to dial in just a second.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Michelle. Let me get back on there. So any questions on the fiscal 2022 budget? So it's a little bit higher than what we were awarded. Last year we asked for a little over 11. This year we're under 11. And I've lost my my Zoom thing. Hang on. My Zoom thing just kicked out, so give me a second to get it here. Okay. So our total is $10,810,826. That's what we will be putting forth with a to up the chain if it's approved. But Mr. Chair Folia, can we turn this over for discussion on the budget?
Yes, absolutely. Does anyone have any questions about the budget?
Okay. I can tell you, maybe this will start discussion. I can tell you that in the working group and looking at this had a hard time because we feel like the documentation that you guys have provided is still not helping us validate your request. We're still missing the mark. And so I know we knew this going into it when the governance working group met together originally. Christine can remember this. We had a hard time to make sure that coming up with a formula that allowed us to add new positions that would be reasonable for our larger PSAPs as well as our smaller PSAPs. So Christine, one of the things that the budget working group asked is, could governance go back and look at this again and address it so that we have see if we can find something more now that we understand we've been a year through the grant process, that the governance working group can chat and see if they can come up with a new configuration or added documentation.
Yeah, we can definitely meet on that again. One thing also is I listened in on one of the state meetings. They said they didn't know what documentation or what their determination was going to be in granting new positions. So I'm really interested also in what they determine. I don't know if maybe if we set something, if it could help lead the way for the state.
I think that would be fantastic, and then that we come up with something that they can help use. So, because we, just like the state, we want our biggest PSAPs, our busiest PSAPs to be covered, and we also want our little ones. So how does that look? And when we only have X amount of money for PSAP requests, how do we divide that up? So if Christine, if you'll organize that, maybe we can give a report on the next PSAP managers meeting in November.
And I also remember just a different flow of things. We had thought that maybe even if we couldn't afford or we couldn't get the budget money for the upgrade, could we get the budget money for the maintenance if the PSAP paid for the positions? I mean, I don't know if those are still options that we would want to look at.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, to consider. Anyway, and as a reminder, the state is in the middle of an RFP for 911, and it's a multi-tiered type of RFP. So so we don't know what it will include equipment, and so it will be interesting to see what that looks like on being able to order positions through them. Right now, we're doing a co-op with HGAC, so we'll see what the new RFP turns out to us. Any other questions on the budget?
Jim Stillwell, MCSO, has questions, comment.
Go ahead.
So my comment would be regarding the additional positions. Liz, you had mentioned that this proposed 2022 budget's slightly lower than what we had requested last year. But with last year, we didn't receive as much as we had requested. And so while we may end up getting this much from the state for the 2022, my concern is going forward, because the position prices that are listed for 2022 is that initial acquisition. Has it been figured in the additional maintenance, service, and any other costs that are associated going forward? Because it's not just a one-time cost. It will be increasing each year. And if we're approving positions in 2022 and then 2023 and then 2024, we're going to go from 10 million to 11 million to 12 million to 13 million very quickly and very easily.
And that's a good point, Jim. I didn't factor that in. So traditionally, when we would add a new position or when we would upgrade a system, we were allowed to buy 5 years of the maintenance and support and software support that we have on all your systems. And when the 5 years is up, then we go to an annual until your upgrade, and then we buy another 5 years worth of support. The procurement in the city of Phoenix does not allow for buying future services, so we had to go to an annual model. So every year, if we upgrade those positions, you see the initial cost. These are actually quoted with 5 years, but that would be an additional cost that maybe we need to I need to have reflected. This is the one time, and this would be annual ongoing, so that we see that when new positions are requested. Did that answer your question, Jim?
It does. Thank you.
All right. So are there any other questions I can answer? If not, Mr. Foley, would you like to take it to a vote?
Sure. Any final questions for Liz? Okay. And Liz, you said we need to take a vote on this?
Yeah, this is remember, the budget's one of the things that goes all the way up the approval process. So just to go over it one more time, and for the new people, what happens is we'll vote on a recommendation on this budget. And once it gets whatever recommendation we come up with, then we will schedule a 911 oversight meeting, and that's the MAG members that are at chief level, and they'll look and we'll go over the budget with them and they'll approve it. And if they recommend it, then it goes usually on consent agenda, excuse me, to the city managers. They have to approve it, and then regional council, which is all the mayors, it's on consent agenda normally for them, and they approve it as well. So once it's all approved by MAG, then it's I'm prepared to enter it into the grant when we get access to it in January. And so once the state opens up the grant for fiscal year 2022, we will enter that into the system. And then usually by April, the state gets us our reply back of whether or not what was approved and what wasn't. And then we go from there. So that's just the basic outline. So we need to do a recommendation to approve this budget or not approve it, and then we'll take that up the chain in MAG.
Okay, so do we need a motion to approve first, correct?
Is that correct?
Okay. Motion to approve the budget as Liz described, the fiscal year 2022 PSAP annual element funding request budget.
This is Patrick. I finally made it to the meeting and I motion to approve.
All right, thank you, Patrick from Tempe. Can I get a second?
Loretta Hadlock from Glendale PD seconds.
Loretta Hadlock seconds. And for the vote, I'll go ahead and reach out to each individual agency. Apache Junction.
Aye.
Avondale says aye as well. That's Buckeye is not here. Chandler Police Department.
Aye.
Okay. Gilbert Police Department.
Aye.
Glendale, already said. Goodyear Police.
Aye.
All right. Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. Jim, I didn't copy you.
Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, aye.
Okay. Mesa Police Department.
Aye.
Paradise Valley Police Department.
Aye.
Peoria Police Department.
Aye.
Phoenix Police Department.
Aye.
Salt River Police Department.
Aye.
Scottsdale Police Department.
Aye.
Surprise Police Department. Surprise says aye on the message. Patrick already motioned. You say aye as well, Patrick, I assume.
Yeah.
And Tolleson Police Department.
Aye.
Okay. That's unanimous approval. All right, moving on to section number 6, Emerging 911 Working Group Report. And I will actually give this report. A couple things to mention. There's been some interest in the What 3 Words program that we've been looking into. To recap, it's essentially a system that has broken down the globe into, I believe it's 10 by 10, but I could be wrong on the dimensions, but little sections to which each of those sections has been given 3 words, kind of like a password for that exact location. Dave Eaton and I earlier this week did some testing on that system to where he initiated a text session to 911. We were able to send him a URL, which we would eventually add to a canned, if we decided to get this as a region, we would add that to a canned message. And we were able to send that canned message to the, I was able to send that from the agency perspective to him, the caller, and he was able to click on that URL, and we were able to get the 3 words of where he was at and plug those into the map and find out exactly where he's calling from. So we're doing some testing with that, and so far it's been working well. A bit of the hiccup is, you know, that the PC that we use for that system is through the Comtech, obviously through the phone network. And so Mike Benjamin, his team, were looking at ways we can streamline it so that we don't have to take the 3 words and then go to a different PC and plug in the 3 words into the What 3 Now what 3 words program to find the location and to try to make it a little more seamless. So we are looking into that system, and so far it looks pretty good. I know Scottsdale had requested us to look into that, and we had been looking into it for a bit. So that is an update on what 3 words. Any questions about that? Okay, we will continue to look into that and keep you posted as we move forward. The second thing I wanted to check on as far as the emerging 911 technology, I wanted to check, Patrick, can you give a little update on your video boards that you guys went live with in Tempe?
Yeah, the IKE, or the Interactive Kiosk Experience. We have a few of them downtown. Obviously, with COVID-19 going on, we don't have a large population going down there, so they haven't been used very much at the moment. They've installed 2 more since my last report, so we have a total of 5 in the downtown area, but they have not been an issue for us in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, thank you.
Patrick, have you received 911 calls from them?
The only 911 calls we've gotten have been test calls.
And
they do have an alley associated.
And it looks just like a great big cell phone's calling you.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm curious, are they phase 2 then, or how is that? Or is it like a landline with precise location?
They actually have a precise location with them.
Oh, okay. At least you have that.
Probably like a femto when, you know, people do wireless from their home phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Any other questions about emerging technologies? The committee itself, we have not met, but those are the latest updates that I have. Any other final questions? Okay, moving on to item number 7, which is the Maricopa Region 911 Technical Report. Mike Benjamin and his team will give us a report.
All right. Is everybody able to hear me? I'm off mute.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thanks. Following what you've been talking about with the what 3 words and so forth, which that is now open from internal, so that testing can commence to see about the reachability and the user experience from your browser. And we do realize that the browsers are becoming fairly heavily used, with our map being browser-based and the text being browser-based. And if you've tried out Glimpse, now what 3 words, as long as your folks are able to negotiate, navigate the various tabs and so forth, these are functions that are available from our data network today. And I'll just go ahead and carry this on and let Dave Eaton go into some updates he has in regards to mapping and GIS.
Sorry, Mike, was that to me or were you continuing on?
That's you.
All right. Just like Mike Foley had mentioned, we're testing with the what 3 words. I'm in the process of doing a major map update. So I know there were some jurisdictional boundary issues that needed to be worked on. So hopefully we'll be migrating everybody to a entirely new base map within the next week or so after I get the data processed. Beyond that, I've been doing some testing with Rapid SOS. They're aware of some of the anomalies that you're seeing calls in the portal. And so we're going through the data we're receiving from them, and they're comparing it with the data that they're sending. So hopefully we'll get to the bottom of that. Additionally, with the Rapid SOS data, a lot of the new feeds that they're commenting on in emails and whatnot are seem to be strictly for the portal. So we don't really have any visibility into adding those into our map at least at this time. That is pretty much all I have. We're probably going to also be looking at adding another base map layer, just as another option. We've currently got our MR911 base map. We have access to Esri base maps, and looking at OpenStreetMaps. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the OpenStreetMap, but it's a pretty accurate, maybe not down to the address point level accurate, but it's got a lot more information as far as building footprints and what different stores are named and stuff like that. That's community funded and based. So we'll be looking at integrating that as a base map that your users can use as well. That is all I have. Back to you, Mike, unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Dave. The next part of our report will be Nate Newen is going to give some detail on the projects. And I can imagine everyone can appreciate not just the compressed timeline based on trying to get a number of projects done, but what everybody's been wrestling with as far as who they want in their PSAP because of COVID and having vendors and technicians, crawling around under desks and being in back rooms and everything. Nate and his guys that have been executing this have worked really hard to make this as seamless as possible. And we have run into a lot of issues with the newest Viper release, Viper 7. The core functions are operating, but the elements that are giving us fits are more than nuisance things. They are functions that PSAPs rely on heavily. And I can assure you we've got our full attention on this, and we are beating the drum as hard as we can with Intrado to make sure that they step up and get some of these, for lack of a better term, these rough edges smoothed out and as quickly as possible. So Nate, let me turn it over to you so you can give them the rundown of what you've been doing on this extremely busy quarter.
Thank you, sir. So I'll start off with a summary of what we did for fiscal year 2000. We basically finished the last project the first week of August for Paradise Valley. We did 2 standalone system Viper 7 for Mesa PD, Mesa Fire, and we deployed 2 multi-node system Viper 7 for Surprise and Paradise Valley. There are some fine tunings that I need to do in the next couple of weeks for those 4 PSAPs. So I'm looking to head out there or coordinate some work so that we can get the settings set right for those systems. In addition to that, we do have a patch that we need to apply to those systems, which Intrado will release sometime at the end of this month. And so I'll be reaching out to those PSAPs to coordinate the patch installation. Well, moving forward for fiscal year 21, we have Glendale, Goodyear, Sheriff Office, and Phoenix Fire on deck to upgrade their 911 CPE. We are reviewing the quotes. The goal is to get the quotes reviewed, make the purchase, and have it delivered to us as soon as possible so we can get those equipment installed before we set the date for a cut date. But we'll meet with those respective PSAPs and plan for it. So as soon as we get the quotes in, we'll reach out to those PSAP to coordinate a meeting. Also for this fiscal year, we're planning to do some non-emergency SIP integration for a few PSAPs, Glendale, Mesa Fire, Mesa PD, Paradise Valley, and Surprise. We are still waiting for City of Phoenix to approve the consultant firm that we're going to use. So we're sitting with legal. So the moment I get an update on that, I'll pass on to the PSAP, and then we can get started on the SIP integration. But it is on holding until we get approval from City of Phoenix. Gilbert is also looking to add 3 positions. We got the quotes already. We'll be meeting with them, with Gilbert, to review the quotes. I believe they have to submit the quote into the town of Gilbert to get it approved. We'll plan for that this fiscal year. And lastly, we have Apache Junction, who's going through a remodeling. We've had a couple of discussions and meetings with them already. So once they get approved, we'll also put that on the calendar to try to assist Apache Junction through this remodeling. That's basically it for fiscal year 21. And I'll turn it back to you, Mike.
Okay. I don't know if there's any questions, or I'd like to open it up in case there's any questions about projects or other tech team things. I can take those questions now. Otherwise, my report is complete.
Hey, Mike, this is Mike Folia. I have a question about the RMAP specifically. As far as the jurisdictional data, where do you guys get that data from, and does it match the county assessor's site as far as that goes?
I'll pull Dave Eaton into that so that I don't give you something that is potentially somewhat inaccurate. Dave, can you address his question?
Yeah, so the current iteration of the map right now, I believe we pulled from data that Phoenix Fire has in their database. However, I noticed we had a trouble ticket with Goodyear that showed a jurisdictional boundary line that was offset from the center line that made some parcels in the county versus Goodyear. And the data that I had through the Phoenix Fire was inaccurate. So this next data set that I'm pushing out comes from the Maricopa County Assessor's Office, and that is, as far as I know, that's the authoritative source for jurisdictional boundaries. So that will be in this next go around that you guys will be receiving.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we just went through that process with our internal CAD map, the same thing where there were some jurisdictional disputes, and we ended up mirroring the county assessor site. So it just helps for consistency when our dispatchers have both maps available to them.
Okay, any other questions from anyone?
This is Christine with Mesa. I wondered if, I just saw going through our last upgrade, which obviously we're still trying to figure out some of the details in and get them corrected, but I wondered if MR 911 would consider, when they do these upgrades, putting a little more time between each of them, because one of the struggles that I saw was trying to juggle another upgrade while things are not tied up from the last one yet. So it causes a difficulty in focusing on getting things aligned. So I just wondered if you had thought about that from going on, if there is a way to time them out a little bit better.
Christine, it's Liz. That is exactly what we want to do. Nate hates having them smashed together. That's really hard on him. And we feel like the projects has been so dysfunctional with monies that we'd have to spend quickly before it got swept, and we've been dealing this for years, and we get a little closer each time, but we're not quite there. So the dream would be is to do a PSAP upgrade a quarter of the year, so that we normally have 4, and that's how we've set it out. So we feel your pain on it, and we appreciate your patience, and it is our goal to get it running smoothly so that we aren't going back to back to back, because that's hard. That's just hard on everybody. It's a necessary evil this year, or last year, but we're inching our way towards doing it better.
was that a budgetary issue or they had to be done in a certain timeline last year?
So they should be done in the fiscal year of when we issued the purchase order. So in your instance and Paradise Valley, you know, we don't have the leverage of, because we had to pay for it with grant monies in fiscal year 2020, even though you cut in fiscal year 2021. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, thank you.
Yeah, so we like to be able to have the leverage to say, until that abandoned beeping goes away or whatever it is, we can't make the last payment on the project. And so before that, it was the state wouldn't tell us whether we had projects approved until April, and then we had to have the money spent by June. So we were cutting POs, this was several years ago, cutting POs for projects that were literally for the next year. So we are, with the new grant process and with us relining, we're getting closer. So I apologize for the difficulties that you guys have experienced because of that. And it is our goal to have them not so close together.
And Liz, also this year of note, we were asked to rearrange the schedule to accommodate the PSAP's needs. They did not want resources in their equipment rooms and mingling, if you will, or in the same areas as their staff, as COVID had ramped up earlier in 2020. And then the scheduling with the vendor to have their resources in the places that they want, based on the fact that they couldn't fly for a while and so on. So the scheduling turned into trouble. Historically, it's been when the money drops was the trouble. But moving forward, we hope to be able to manage both of those things better so that we don't end up with all these things lumped so close together, because it is, as you are witnessing, it's a struggle. I think, Mr. Foley, that's the end of our report then.
All right, thank you, Mike. If there's no other questions, we will move on to item number 8. On here it says 7, but nonetheless, 911 Saves Act. Shauna Henrie of Goodyear PD will lead this discussion.
Hi, this is Shauna. So we wanted to just bring in front of the group the move to try to get Arizona dispatchers recognized as first responders. The federal government has a couple of acts, including the 911 Saves Act, but they've all stalled and aren't making movement. Individual states, counties, and agencies are recognizing their dispatchers. So that's one of the things we wanted to bring to the PSAP managers and then try to get throughout the state, is to just get a working group, get some information, and start the process of getting our people recognized for what they actually do. So I was just asked to kind of lead the discussion. So if anybody has any input, I know Brittany has been doing some work in Peoria. She might.
Anna, when you're ready, I'll talk on that.
Go ahead.
Our dispatchers here are in a union. They're under their own union, totally separate from officers. And it's called the AFSCME union. And I just got word from our union president actually this morning. So it's kind of weird timing, but they've got their national conference coming up. He didn't give me the date. He just said that this is one of their top item agendas for their national conference. But he sent me the declaration they're actually pushing through nationally for all AFSCME union members, which really encompasses tons of 911 dispatchers. So they're pushing to have them reclassified as public safety telecommunicators, which is probably what we'll do here at Peoria, since our dispatchers fall under the AFSCME union. But they really put in here in this declaration, 911 caller, 911 dispatchers assist through first aid, coordinate police, fire, and EMS to keep them and the public safe, operate specialized systems, and they go on and on. But what they're doing is they're pushing to classify them, as protective in the same occupation, in the same category as police officers and firefighters. So I think this is a good step. I was pretty pleased to hear that the union here that represents our dispatchers is pushing this and pushing it at the national level. So I don't know. I probably will get more from him when he gets back from the national conference. But I think this is just one step in the right direction. I don't know if any other agencies have their dispatchers in their own unions. Obviously, this is my first agency where dispatchers are in their own union. So I don't know what anybody else has on that.
Thanks, Brittany. I know that's a really powerful way for pushing for this. And in talking with Karen Sutherland and some of the other Arizona APCO folks, we thought maybe the first step might be just putting together a working group to look at some of the other states and agencies and counties and municipalities that have managed to get these folks reclassified. So I guess at this point, we're just kind of starting the process. Anybody who is interested, feel free to let me know, and we'll start putting together a working group and get together an agenda and look at some of the other states that have successfully done this. There's about 7 or 8 of them right now that have done it.
This is Patrick. One of the things I know it kind of started here in East Valley, but we didn't get too far into it, but was looking at our job description for our position, ensuring it meets the standard that APCO put out, as well as the job title, because we all have a variety of titles that we use for our positions, police dispatcher, dispatcher, communications, whatever it is. And I think one of the things that we need to do is kind of bring those all in line so that we're all on the same playing field and meeting that standard to make it more reasonable for that classification process.
Yeah, I agree with you, Patrick, on that one.
So that's, and if you have like agenda items or ideas to put on the working group, but you don't have the time or the ability to participate, feel free to send the information. And hopefully by the next PSAP managers, we can put something really concrete together and start the process. But we're open to any help we can get and any input. I know a lot of agencies have been working, like Patrick said, on those job descriptions and job titles. And if we can put them together, that would be helpful. So that's about all I have. If anybody else has anything to add, we're open to ideas, thoughts, anything like that.
This is Liz. So Mike, Folia, and Shauna. So what I'll do is on the November meeting, I'll make an agenda item for the working group on job classification then.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Shauna, it's Karen Sutherland. Let's make sure that it makes it onto the next general APCO meeting also, and we can spread out further across the state.
Perfect. We'll do that.
All right. Any final questions for Shauna? All right. If you're interested in helping out with that, please contact Shauna directly. Moving on to the final agenda item. Are there any requests by membership for an item on a future agenda? Our next meeting will be held on Thursday, November 12th, 2020. Any agenda items? Okay, business is now concluded. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Mike, it's Karen Sutherland. Can I just add one thing before we close?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Is everybody aware that the NINA standards have changed for phone answering? We got notified just a few weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, that they've gone from 90% within 10 seconds to 90% within 15 seconds. They worked with the fire agencies on the NFPA standards, and both have grabbed the same standard now.
Karen, I thought I remember you talking about something that they were going to do a different standard, because they're lowering the standards. Is that correct? What I'm hearing?
That's correct. They're giving you 5 more seconds to answer.
Okay, because I
And they
remember.
couldn't have done that when I was a 911 operator. Sorry.
Right?
Yeah, Karen, this is Brittany from Peoria. I was just on Nina the other day and I did see that come through.
Yep. I just got it a couple weeks ago. So
yeah.
If anybody needs information on it, I can help you get it, but it should just be right on the Nina website.
Karen, this is Christine. We actually just found this because we're updating a PowerPoint this week. So I have down also 95% within 20 seconds. Is that part?
Yep, that was in there too.
Yep.
That is true?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure both of them are true.
Okay. Anything else? Any other?
This is Kim with Gilbert.
Go ahead, Kim.
I asked Liz this when the Nina standard came out, but if that is what we go to, are we going to be able to get MIS reports to be adjusted to that standard so it's easier to pull the reports?
Kim, it's Liz. You know, that's a thing we've submitted to Untitled, but I'm sure if it's a Nina standard, and we're not the only ones that are going to want that change, so we'll wait and see what they have. I know that as you move to ECATs, you'll be able to do ad hoc reporting, and you should be able to create one especially for that instead of a canned one. So we'll see what they provide for those that are not on ECATs.
Thank you.
Mike, this is Karen again. If we're ready, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I got a motion to adjourn from Karen. Is there a second?
Jim Stillwell, second.
All right, Jim Stillwell with the second. We thank you, everybody, for your participation, and we'll talk to you next quarter.